a text messages about a melee between the community and the police about 10:45 p.m. I didn't know all of what was going on. I did know there was a video circulating in which most of you all seen. I became concerned about what was escalating prior to me getting there by the number of police that was blocking up the street. This is not the first of an incident like this for me. I've been to plenty of these before. So I want to speak to that. I did have an opportunity to speak with Chief Conti, and MPD has released their statement. I don't totally agree with their statement based on what I saw, but I just want to speak my truth and give the opportunity for others to get a chance to speak. It's imperative that we stand for what's right at all times. And I do want to speak to the fact that the police department did come to the community because there was a shooting. And I don't want to skip over that. There's far too many shootings in our community. And for those who are outraged about the police brutality, we should be. But we must be equally as outraged about the ongoing shootings in our community each and every day. See, I spoke to Ms. Thurston the other day. She was the lady who was assaulted by students on the bus. We should be outraged about that. We should use our energy to stand up for our community about that as well. Also, we need to be standing up in our PTA meetings at our schools equally. We have a school with 300 something people, about 15 parents coming to the PTA meetings. And so we should be outraged when it's 30, 40, 116 rounds of gunfire on the ground as well. And so I don't want to dismiss the fact that there was gunfire in the community, and it's a fact. And those individuals in the community know it to be true. And so we must also stand against that as well. So I want to say that as the leader of this community. I did get a chance to speak to the parents of Taiwan Jackson and Taiwan Coleman. One of the mothers is here, Miss Queen Amina Saladin. She's here today. We also joined by a number of constituents from the community, which you will hear from. I'll state some of the facts as I know it. This incident was totally unacceptable on so many levels. You can clearly see aggressive use of police force through the video. I'm going to say on record, I do not know what transpired before, but it's totally unacceptable for a police officer who we pay our tax dollars to protect and serve us to treat us in that manner. I also see a police officer kicking one of the guys while he's on the ground, also detained by other officers. I know that MPD explains that he's pulling away from the guy with his foot. I don't see that from what I saw. If you saw that, you tell me something different. I did notice there were about 6 police cars there when I arrived. When I arrived, they saw me. The community said, Trayon, why is here? They got in their cars and they started leaving. I then talked to one of the sergeants there who gave me his account of what happened. He couldn't give me, well, he said he couldn't give me all of what happened because he got there late. But he did have the property of one of the young men. Both of the young men were transported. Well, first of all, one of the young men was immediately transported to the hospital. That's the young man who you saw hit his back, was pushed on the gate and was slammed on the ground. The other young man was taken to 7D, in which his mom came to the station, and also, and I spoke to Commander Branch, who then got him medical care. It is alleged that something is wrong with his hand. I don't know the details. I haven't seen the official documentation, but he was also transported to the hospital as well. Both of these 2 men will be seen today here at the court building to have just due, to have due process for these alleged assault and police officer offenses. We know that historically, about 80% of assault and police officers cases get dismissed in the district because of lack of evidence or lack of a strong case. It is my duty as a leader in this community to hold, one, our police officers accountable for their actions, but also hold our community accountable for our actions. We all have a responsibility to ensure that our communities are safe and walkable for our adults, family, and most of all, our children. In our city right now, our children do not feel safe. If you hear from children in our former, I was just at Kramer Middle School yesterday. I was at another school, I was at Johnson Middle School yesterday, and I was at Hart Middle School the day before that. And our students are in terror going to and from school. And so we must also keep that in the forefront of our minds. I would digress for a moment to hear from Ms. Nene from Harriet. Huh? Harriet's wildest dreams. I know. And so we'll give her opportunity to speak, and then we'll hear from one of the parents if she decides to speak. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Nene Taylor, Neneetaylor. I'm the executive director of Harriet's Wildest Dreams, a community defense base, actually fighting for all Black lives that's involved with state-sanctioned violence here in D.C. in the DMV area. I too was reached out around the video that actually circulated last night, and was contacted by both parents in reference to what's going on and trying to help them find their sons. I understand that the sons are grown, but it's no love like a mother's love, and those young men may be 23 and 30, but they are their mother's babies. And so as we try to locate them, and knowing that they was at the hospital, one mother went to the hospital and was told she cannot see her son because he was being detained. And right until not too long ago, speaking with the other mother, we relocated her son, which Trayon was known. He was in C10, and we had our legal team to locate them and let us know where they were and that they would be in court at 1 o'clock. My concern as a community organizer and a DC native is that what's going on in the Black community in DC is biased when it comes to the MPD police department. I too have been in contact with Chief Conti to try to find a medium with what's going on in our Black community and how they show up when it comes to Black lives. As you all saw, the incident in the video, the young man was forcefully pushed to the back. And if you give the statement for what they gave in their press conference was making an alleged threat, saying that he's going to slap another policeman. I don't think that me saying that I'm going to slap you, because if someone out here tell me they're going to slap me, I don't get the right to push you or put my hands on you because you say you're going to slap me. So I don't feel the police should have a right to put their hands on me because I say I'm gonna slap you. If I allegedly going to slap you, and if I don't slap you, you don't give you a right to nearly break that man's back. And in the process of that man laying on the ground, a community member tried to check on him, because reality is the police wasn't checking on him. And what they didn't say in that press statement was people got maced. They didn't say that they maced the young man who had tried to assist the other young man. And that was a community, older person in the community, want to check on a younger community member. So let's be mindful of that. So they don't keep us safe. So as y'all listen to what they're saying, know that that young man was maced. So, and also police lie. And we know they lie because I've actually done so many cases. Right now, Court Watch DC, which is led by Harriet's Wildest Dreams, we'll be watching the cases today at 1 o'clock. Because it came to a point where we had to make a Court Watch program just to watch the proceedings in the courthouse of how the judge, the prosecutors, and police show up in the courtroom. Because the police can make the arrest, but it's the prosecutors and the judges that actually send our people to jails and prisons. So with that being said, we will be watching the case. We will be legally supporting these people and giving participatory defense to help them fight this case, because allegedly APO is the only way and the only charge that the police go to when they can't find another charge. So APO is assault on a police officer. And so at the end of the day, you want to know, like Trayon said, it was gun violence. It's like gunshots, allegedly. So that's fine. But we need police to be proactive and not reactive. And being reactive is what caused this young man with his back hurt, Miss Amina's son in a hospital with a hurt hand and being maced by the police. By being reactive and actually assaulting Black bodies. I want to name that we literally just had another comrade arrested on Saturday for throwing leaves. Allegedly, his crime was throwing leaves at a police officer. White people tried to de-arrest Kevin Kramer, laid in front of the police cars, pushed police cars, laid in the street. Not one white person was arrested for interfering with arrest. Yet, Amina's son is literally here in pain in C10 right now because he just wanted to check on a young man that was actually hurt. So don't tell me it's not biased when it comes to MPD, when videos don't lie. So right now, our job is to keep our community safe because we keep us safe, and we will be going to the court proceedings and check on them and hopefully get our community members free. And I want to name, I'm not against trying to prevent crime and stop crime. I'm against police violence and brutality. Two things can be true. It could have been a running car there. It could have been a case selling in that car. But that doesn't give you a right to assault and violently attack black people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brady, you want to say anything?
Good morning. What we're seeing in this video is unacceptable. It's triggering. It's abuse, and there's no excuse for it. The DC Council passed laws about a week ago to cut the red strings in reference to terminating bad actors, as they call it in MPD. We want to see fast action. We want to see quick action. We want to see these officers off the street immediately. Our community is not safe when the people that are trained and supposed to have professional standards are running around acting like a gang. That's not acceptable, and we're not going to accept it in this community. These two young men did not deserve to be hurt and brutalized the way that they were. And if we're going to act like vigilantes, we'll never find peace in our community. And peace is what we're seeking, and Community Shoulders is here to build bridges that we can all stand on, And those bridges are slowly being knocked down by these sorts of acts and this kind of abuse. We will not tolerate it in our community.
Thank you. We stop for any questions.
Go ahead.
Councilmember, you had mentioned that this was not the first time you experienced something like this and you were concerned when you saw the number of cruisers. What was your conversation like with the chief? Was there something in place that should, or something talked about that shouldn't have been there to support the community and the police in trying to ease tensions that wasn't there?
So my first conversation wasn't with the chief, it was with the sergeant that was on the scene. And he did not, it was a group of us in the community gathered around him trying to get answers of how this escalated, because I had no idea. And I wanted to hear both sides. And I ended up speaking to the commander last night and the chief early this morning. The chief is normally quickly to respond. And I have seen the chief hold officers accountable. In my last interaction, one of my interactions, this is on V Street Southeast. I don't know if you remember when the guys got into it with the police and he retrieved the gun from him and punched him in the face repeatedly. The chief then had a meeting with those guys from that community and their relatives in a closed-door meeting in the community. And so it's been ongoing conversations, because this is not nothing new in our community, from the excessive use of force from the police. And it's my hope that these officers are under review and be terminated if they're wrong, based on what we find in the internal affairs review. And so I haven't seen the body camera footage yet, but I've seen enough.
Is there any room in your mind?
I'm gonna go right here, then I'm gonna come this way.
Councilman, thanks so much for doing this. Can you respond to these two suggestions in the police statement about justifying what the officers did there? The one about that the officer, that the individual threatened to smack the female police officer, and then they also suggested that the second person had assaulted and strangled officers. Could you respond to both of those suggestions?
I can't respond to something I don't know about. I just saw the press release 8 minutes ago before I started. And so if that is true, then they have a job to do. But the over policing is not necessary. If a guy threatens a female officer, he does not deserve to be kicked in his upper body or face. Right? One don't equal the other. I think they have enough training. We have enough protocol, policies, and procedures to address situations, and that's not it, and that's totally unacceptable. So if the police department is using that as an excuse to escalate violence, then it's not acceptable to me.
And you can't the suggestion that the other individual assaulted and strangled officers. Do you know?
I haven't seen anything that suggests that the person strangled an officer. I haven't seen that.
Do you happen to know how, like, all this, I know the police were there, sound the shots and investigating, like, how this whole encounter ended up happening? Did they have anything to do with the car that police were looking at? Did they just happen to be out there? Like, how did this interaction begin?
So I can't speak to something I don't know. I wasn't there when that happened. I was there later after that happened. But I do know that the police department noted a stolen vehicle there. And I do know that the police department got into the vehicle and drove the vehicle away, which caused a lot of other confusion in the community. I don't know what happened prior to that, but I'm confident that MPD will release a statement today to the public and probably do a press conference. And that's probably a police department question.
Did these gentlemen live in that area? Do you know what they were doing out there?
I don't know where they live. I can't speak on that.
They was outside being black. Just chilling.
In your mind, is there any plausible justification at all that could have led to what happened? Do you see any?
I don't speak in hypotheticals or what coulda, shoulda, woulda. I speak to the facts as I know it. We can say somebody let off a firecracker and then somebody thought it was a shot. I don't operate like that. And so I can only go by what the community said, what MPD said, and what I observed personally speaking to officers and getting accounts of what happened. So I don't do hypotheticals.
I guess with what you've seen, is there any way that these officers should be able to be on the streets?
Not the one that kicked them. Hell no. I don't think that we provide training or give authority to an officer to kick somebody in the face. Absolutely not.
And then what did the chief tell you at all this morning that you can share from that conversation?
Well, I let the chief speak for himself. You know, MPD's posture is that the gentleman was releasing his foot from his arm. I don't have the technology watching the video to slow it down and see that, but I didn't see it as such. I seen his foot go forward, come back, and go forward again and come back. And so that's what I saw.
Are you hoping these charges are dropped? Any anticipation of what might happen? Because as you mentioned, a lot of times these cases are dismissed. There's no underlying charge.
Well, I hope that the judge, the lawyers look at the facts and deal with them accordingly. I wasn't there, so I can't speak to all of what happened prior to me getting there. I saw what I saw in the video, which most of us saw, so I'm not hoping anything. I hope that the Justice Department that has historically been unjust for black people serves to do the right thing at some point in my life.
Is mom up to? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you up to saying a few words about your son and what you see in the video and your
I can. Good afternoon. My name is Amina Saladin. My son Taiwan was one of the alleged assaulting of an officer. I got 15 calls last night, and when I looked at the calls, I didn't want to actually pick it up. Being a resident of the District of Columbia in the past, we have had so many different violent calls in my family. Taiwan has been, in the past, assaulted by officers, locked up by officers, allegedly stating that he committed crimes. Taiwan, on that video, walked up because after a shooting occurred, he was supposed to be picked up by his girlfriend, but he seen the police and he seen his friend on the ground. As he walked up, he was maced in the face, and he looked like he tripped. And as he tripped, the officers pounced on him. And the young man that was laying on the ground, when they was kicking, they kicked him also. I heard the screams that he couldn't move his legs, his back. They said you broke his back. I was horrified as a mother. I couldn't believe what I saw. Who will protect and serve our community? Instead of being able to sit with the police, we began to be afraid of the police. Who do we call? Do we call 911 before we call Trayon or any of the other community members? I just want to say that, again, it was heart-wrenching, very disappointing. Anyone else could have been shot during that time. Their total focus was on a car that no one was actually in. Anyone can say anything to a citizen or a police officer. They didn't see any movement by anyone to suggest that they were being violent towards the officers. Instead, they were maced. They were assaulted by officers and hidden by the officers, because when I called, they couldn't find my son. They didn't let me know that he had been detained at 7th District Police Department, nor did they say if he was ever taken to the hospital. So I got into my car and started to come to 7th District, and I actually was able to speak with one of the sergeants that was on the scene, and she was very apologetic for what was happening. If my son or the other young man committed any type of assault on the officers, I don't think that I would have got that response from them. So I'm just going to repeat this. Who do we call? Who can we trust in our community?
Can you say the nature of his injuries? It was said, oh, his back was broken. Can you confirm?
No, that's Tywan
Okay.
Jackson. Well, Tijon Jackson. My son is Tywan Coleman. And at this point, when the sergeant told me that he couldn't move his arm and he couldn't open his hand, she said that he would be getting an MRI done because they don't know if it's broken or fractured, but they do know that he was in care he was in care of the EMTs to rinse the mace out of his face. So they didn't focus on that at first, and then after that, he told them that he could feel pain in his right side of his ribs, his hand. He couldn't move his hand and his arm. So they didn't take him immediately to the hospital, which they supposed to. If it was any apparent injuries, they supposed to take him to the hospital, get him cleared, and then detain him at 7th District, which didn't happen. They took him straight to 7th District. But no one knew where he was until Trayon contacted the commander.
How do we spell your name?
Yeah.
Your son's name?
Aminah. My last name is Saladin, Saladin.
And can you spell your son's name and
Tejuan. Last name is Coleman, Coleman.
and he's 30?
He is 30.
And the other individual?
I don't know how his mom spelled his name. Okay.
Tijon Jackson. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Tyjon Jackson.
And
Capital
it's
J.
pronounced Tyon.
Capital J.
Capital J?
Yes, T-Y apostrophe, capital J-O-N.
Yep.
Can you do it one more time?
Ty
Apostrophe,
apostrophe capital Jon.
And how old is he?
23.
23. I'm not sure. I can.
No, he's
23.
23.
23.
I do want to note there were other individuals when I arrived that had apparent evidence of mace in their face as well. I was trying to clean that up. It was a lot of, it was some females there as well that was also not in the video but present to witness what was going on, that was explaining to me their account of what happened.
Ms. Saladin,
Yes.
if you don't get what you want in the court today, would you consider taking further action? And I'm talking civilly.
No comment.
No comment.
Yeah, so like, what's the next step in this process? So there's a court today, and then what do you want to see happen?
So we do have lawyers who are present in the crowd with us today. The family have sought legal counsel. today to represent them today, and we'll address the other issues as a family, whatever they decide to do after this. They came to support their children today. The other mom is also supporting her son as well, so we want to leave it as that.
And again, it's your understanding the only thing that these two guys are charged with is assault on a police officer? Or?
That's
Yes,
correct. Those are the
correct.
charges because that's the go-to. So therefore, when they can't find anything else, APO is the go-to charge because by law, if I just touch an officer like this, they have a right to charge me with an APO. And just like I just told you, Kevin Kramer, who has assault on 3 police officers this past Saturday, literally tossed up leaves, and the policeman is saying the leaves hit him in his face. So it's assault on a police officer. So that's a waste of actually DC tax dollars that money can go to the schools, mental health care, drug rehabs. So we wasting our time. This is a waste of taxpayers' money. To have 100 policemen officers show up at Trayon's ward last night is a waste of tax dollars and really not keeping our community safe. Literally, how many policemen showed up after that incident, Trayon?
I couldn't count. It was dark. And
Yep, and it's ridiculous. And the same thing with us. Anytime they show up, the police show up for things that's not of urgency when it comes to black people. So I always say police they don't prevent crime, they react to crime. And that's just their jobs to do. And it's okay, let's just be reactive and let's be preventive and not reactive.
Councilmember, can I ask you about your concerns for the community? The word was used that this is traumatizing. Some of the comments in the video were talking about how people should have put down their phones and stepped in and taken action. What are your concerns? How do you address this with everyone moving forward? Who's responsible?
I think that everyone has to hold themselves accountable. People got different ideologies and philosophies of how they handle situations of crisis, but our community is over-traumatized. And we have people that need serious mental treatment and serious trauma care that has been gone undiagnosed and untreated, walking around in the community. Unfortunately, you know that when it's not addressed, it comes out in different forms, and most times it's unhealthy in the community of people who are living in poverty, who are stressed out, depressed, angry, malnutrition, on several substances from drinking and smoking, all in one community trying to figure it all out. And we have historically got the help that we need in our community. And so it's my job and it's our job to be proactive and not dismissive of what's going on and not perpetuate the narrative that we are okay when we're not.
Martin Luther King said it best. Riots are the voices of the unheard, and people just get tired. So now it's our duty to try to calm this situation down, so the community people that's oppressed won't actually escalate this situation. But people are tired, and I find myself always being preventive, trying to hold my community members back, along with Jay, because people are tired and they literally want to harm the police back. But that only give us more court cases and being able to have to spend resources in places we don't need to spend them. So, but people are tired and we need resources. We need care, not cops. We need care, not cages.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
We gotta get this. The fire just came out.